All right, hello and welcome to another edition of the Rithmm Rundown with myself, Josh Applebaum, and my wise guy partner in crime, Mr. Cade Harper. Cade, we got a lot to get to tonight, as always. Back to our originally scheduled Thursday night stream. So last couple of weeks we've been doing it on Wednesdays. We had the holiday. Thanksgiving is over with. By the way, Cade, how about your Bengals covering 7.5 and winning outright against the Ravens there on Thanksgiving, and then also the boys, the Cowboys, coming up big, winning outright. Plus 3.5 against the Chiefs. So hope everyone had a pretty good holiday, of course. And then now, Cade, it's going to be Christmas and Hanukkah and New Year's before you know it. You already got your tree, so you're ahead of me. We're getting our tree this weekend, so looking forward to that. But yeah, we got a ton to get to. Obviously, Cowboys in Detroit for tonight. Very interesting splits, line movement. I want to talk both side and total there. There's a couple players that I would imagine the betting public is hammering their overs, and we're thinking maybe these players should go under for some of these prop bets. We also have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Cade, who's questionable, hasn't practiced all week. We don't have an official designation of whether he'll play or not. It looks like he won't play, but again, we got to wait and get those inactive. So if he's out, how does that affect some of these, the game line, and then also some of these other players for their prop bets? And then I also want to talk about your Bengals against the Bills this upcoming weekend, the Colts and the Jags, Texans and the Chiefs. There's a really interesting Cleveland-Tennessee game that may not be the most popular game, but it's really windy, and I'm looking at a couple players for their prop bets. And then we got to talk a little college football because we got championship weekend here. I want to talk North Texas Tulane with you, Cade, as well as Indiana and Ohio State. That one's really interesting because the market's moving one way, but Rithmm is saying maybe you should do the opposite. And then also Duke and Virginia. Get your thoughts on that one as well. But Cade, welcome back. How was your holiday? Are you pumped? How you doing? And let's have a good show, man.
It was. I'm full. I'm still kind of feeling the aftermath of the deep fried turkey. That's for sure.
You didn't burn down the house, right? Everything good?
Yeah. No. Yeah, it came out perfectly fine. Had a nice little crisp on the edge. You know what I mean? Yeah, we had it. I mean, that thing was pouring out juice. Yeah, it was a great time. We had it. Had to sweat some bets out in front of the family though, and had to pretty much explain to them, how it works. So that was always fun while I'm watching the Cowboys. Yeah, it was even worse for the Bengals game, considering they're all Bengals fans, and I'm like the only one screaming, and they're like family time, and I'm the one on the couch by myself. So while everybody's playing cards, I got action on the line here.
Well, they're gambling too. They're playing cards. You're betting on sports. I mean, it's in your blood, right? This is a
Different
family lineage there. Yeah. But yeah, should be a great time here, Cade. And I want to just kind of real quick just remind everyone, if you have never tried Rithmm before, it's a great time to download the Rithmm app. Use promo code START25 for 25% off. Always want to share my screen so you guys can kind of see what Cade and I look at every day using the Rithmm app. Obviously, it's great for just your smartphone, but you can also use it on a desktop. So it's all located here. Remember, we have our refer a friend opportunity here. So if you like Rithmm and you've seen the value in it and you want to turn your friend onto it, boom, get them referred. You'll both get a little extra service time because of that referral. And then also we have our leaderboard contests. If you'd like to join these, they're great. You could win up to $1,000 every single week. So, Kate, let's waste no more time, my man. Let's talk Dallas and Detroit. So you and I were kind of working with Parker, our guy behind the scenes who does a great job for Rithmm, talking about how we use Rithmm to our advantage. We had some homework, Kate. Did you get your homework in? We got to make these videos here, okay? To tell people how we use it. I'll flip it to you and let you explain your style. But when I did my video, I basically said, hey, I'm a data-driven bettor. Prior to hooking up with Rithmm a couple years ago, I created my own kind of, it's not my own, I didn't create it myself, but I learned a philosophy of tracking the market. What did the line open at? How did it move? Combine that with the bet splits, take a contrarian approach, look at system matches historically, put it all together, try to make the sharpest data-driven bet you can make. Rithmm, to me, is then the cherry on top. So if I like a dog +7, maybe they're only getting 30% of bets. They fell 7.5 down to 7. They're a divisional dog. This spot has done well historically. Boom. That gets me excited. If Rithmm says it should be +5.1, I love it even more. Rithmm tells me it should be a 9-point spread. I take a step back and say, hey, maybe I'm missing something here. But anyway, let's talk kind of from my perspective, what we've seen across the market, and then kind of get your take here, Cade, with not only if you have a play or not on either the side or total, but how you use Rhythm to your advantage as well. So when I'm looking at this game, Cade, I think you can look at it a couple ways. Like one, this line has clearly moved toward the Dallas Cowboys because a lot of books opened as high as Lions -5.5. Now that 5.5 did not last long. Immediately got down to 3.5. Then it got all the way down to 3. Now, when it got down to 3, I'm thinking, okay, early in the week, I was like, maybe I should just take the boys plus 3.5. I've taken them 3.5 against who was it last week against the Chiefs? Week before that against the Eagles. I'm like, why stop something? Why, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Give me the boys again here plus the points. But when it got down to 3, I noticed something today. It crept back up to 3.5. So that told me that there was some smart money that laid it with Detroit -3 to bring this line back up. Now, the other thing, Kate, is that if you were going to play the Cowboys tonight, I'd be a little worried that they're a bit of a trendy dog. And again, we talk about this all the time, but if you are a dog that's gross, that no one wants to touch, like, whether it was the Cowboys against the Chiefs, whether it was your Bengals against the Ravens, ironically enough, on Thanksgiving too, I'm kicking myself for not trusting Rhythm with the Packers because they were like 10% of bets and they won outright. But whole point being, those unpopular dogs are the ones we like. When you become popular, and you got to remember, the public doesn't want to bet dogs. They historically and psychologically want to bet the favorite, the better team. But when they become popular, then you kind of want to, that's a red flag. Like to me, if a dog's getting more than half the tickets, that's automatically something that I don't want to be a part of because it tells me it's really a public dog. And you're getting upwards of 55, 60% of tickets on the Cowboys here. Then I look at it as, okay, if I'm taking the Cowboys, I'm really kind of buying at their highest watermark. Like the Cowboys have been playing great. If you're now going to jump on the bandwagon tonight, you're getting them at probably their most overvalued spot. Flip it the other way with Detroit, they're probably the most undervalued they're ever going to be. They're only 7-5. They lose at home. Thanksgiving, the early game, they're maybe not even going to make the playoffs here. Like they're the desperate spot that you want to buy low on. The Cowboys, to me, are the overvalued public spot that I kind of want to sell high on. I also have this angle for you, Cade. Dan Campbell, when he is coming after a loss, you lose a game, he comes back the next week, 25-15 against the spread, 63% at home. He is 16-7 ATS, 70%. That's all of a long-winded way of me saying I see sides, I see angles for both sides. Like Dallas is your primetime dog. Dallas is a dog who missed the playoffs versus opponent who did make the playoffs. That's a really good system this year, like 60%. But then I don't want to be with the public play here. So I'll kind of go down the middle and say, what does Rhythm have for me? Well, Rhythm is conflicted here. Now, the sharpest bet is late with the Lions here, -3.5. Again, you could have gotten 3 earlier today. Rhythm says it should be about a 5.5 point game. That's a decent edge. My other 2 plays, they're caution plays, but Cowboys plus 2.9. The other play is Cowboys plus 3.3. Those would say take the 3.5 here. So I have a play on the total. I'm going to get to that in a second here, Cade. Break the tie for me. I am laying off the side because I think you can make a case for both. And I got problems with Dallas being trendy, but also, again, if I'm laying it here, like I guess I'm leaning Detroit, but I'm afraid to pull the trigger. I'll defer to this rhythm system match, but cut through the noise for me, Cade. How do you look at this game, and do you have a play on the side?
I do. I was in the same boat as you. I was watching this game ever since it opened. I mean, you said what? Did it open at 6 or 5.5? What was it?
5.5, like 6. Yeah, early. It didn't last long. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm assuming it's dropping down, not because of a public perspective, but more so. I mean, like you said, you got two potential starters out. I mean, I think Sewell was actually just confirmed active, but Amon-Ra is game time decision. It's nerve-wracking to make a bet without knowing your star player, your number one target, isn't going to be on the field. That's hard to justify versus a Cowboys team that beating the Super Bowl teams in back-to-back games. I mean, you're going to have all of a sudden it went from people hating on the Cowboys to be like, hold on, at 6-5, they might be back. I don't know. I got the Lions money line for cheap when it was down to -3. I took it at -155. I felt like that was the safest option for me personally, just because of the system of Dan Campbell off of a loss, specifically at home, like you mentioned. Very, very good. I don't want any part in the spread. Could care less if you win by 1. Just win the game. It makes it easier that way. The -3s for flat, how it was, I thought that they're just too juiced for me at the time. I saw some like that were -120s, and I just didn't want any part of that. It was a little bit too much. But flat out win the game and simply just fade, like you said, fading the trendy dog like we've been. I feel like that might have been the safer option at this point for a little bit more juice.
That makes total sense, and Rithmm backs you up. I'm glad you kind of went to the money line over the spread because, again, looks like pros really like Detroit 3 or less, but you can no longer get that. And you did have some respect when you take Cowboys. Again, it didn't last long, but 5.5, 5, 4.5, 4. I mean, 3.5, you can make the case there. It's a little murky because that's where we stand right now. But to your point, to win the game, recommended green star play here. Detroit Lions expecting a win of about 5 points or so. 5.6 points, something like that. That makes total sense. And then I'll throw this at you, Cade. If you look at favorites off a loss this year, winning the next game, this is just league-wide, all teams this year in the NFL. They're 48-20 straight up, 71%, 6% ROI. You look at Thursday Night Football, home favorites. They're 6-3 so far this season straight up. They're 74%, 139-50 with a 5% ROI since 2006. So that makes some sense to me as well. Now, I want to get your take on the total, Cade, because I'm going to hold my nose and go under here. I mean, this one is just such a high total. Yep. It's moved. I'm actually a little bit surprised because it opened 53.5. It got bet up to 54.5. And, when I wrote my article for VSiN.com and did my podcast, it was 54.5. And I'm like, ooh, I better grab this now because I'm thinking it may start to fall back, especially if Amon-Ra St. Brown is out. That's a guy who moves the chains, really helps your offense. I'm surprised it got up to 55.5. Now, that worries me a little bit. I think you can look at it one of two ways. One, if you're just going to go contrarian under, you're happy you're getting a better number here. But also, you're saying to yourself, why am I getting a better number? That does tell me that on game day, there was some more over money that came in to raise this total even higher. But I'm going to still go with the under in this one, Kate. I'll give you a few reasons why. One, it's just an inflated contrarian under, primetime under. You and I have talked about this all season long. But if you look at these primetime unders so far this season, they're 25-18, 58%, 11% ROI. They're kind of right where they've been the last 4 years at 59% with a 12% ROI. When a primetime total is 50 or more, it's kind of a rare thing, but the under is 6-3 this year, and it's 60% since 2017. You're also kind of selling high because what do people remember most about these teams, Cade? Thanksgiving. Both games went over. So if you were with your family, crushing turkey, drinking White Claws like I was, Cade, and seeing these totals fly over, you're saying to yourself, and the whole general public is saying, don't even think about it. They both went over on Thanksgiving. They're going to go over again. We got to remember, odds makers kind of set these numbers with some public bias in mind. So to me, I want to go the other way, sell high and go under. Also, if you just look at in this spot when the total is 50 or more, the under is 12-8 this year. And it's 64% since 2022. So again, in this spot, and if you go to even 54 or more, the under is 6-2 since 2022. So all these stats are telling you when it's a really high total above 50 and the public thinks it's a shootout and it's going to fly over, historically, it's actually gone under. So with these primetime under system matches and with the fact that Rithmm has 3 recommended plays here, we can just go through one by one. First one is predicting 49.8 points. That's a green star recommended play. Second one that I love is not only a green star recommended, but a smart signal predicting 50.3 points for this game. And then third one, it's a caution flag, but 48.8. So basically 49, 50, and 50 again. Even if you go from under 54.5, 55.5, that is a 4 or 5 point edge toward the under. So I'm on this undercade. I kind of got a bad under 54.5. You can play the 55.5 right now or 55. But I saw you kind of grin a little bit when I started talking about the under. What's your take here? Are you going to sweat the under with me here?
I'm really happy Rithmm's on this one because if it wasn't, then I'd feel terrible. I've had this one circled for a minute. I'll do a slight little toot on my last 12 NFL totals. I'm 11-1. I love the NFL totals right now. I don't know what it is, but we've been feeling it. I like this under a lot. It's my favorite play in this. I left it at a standard 1 unit play because I already took the Lions money line, or else I probably would have put more down, to be completely honest with you. I took it at 54. I think you're fine regardless. Like your models, mine is also around 49 and some change. But I'll talk about both sides here. So you start out with the Lions. Dan Campbell takes over the play calling, and this has been one of the most talked about things in the NFL. His play calling has been very subpar. I was watching that Packers game and I'm just looking at, dude, like, what are we doing here? You lose your guy and he forgets how to call an offense, apparently. Which, yeah, it's hard. I'll give him that. But I mean, you have like arguably the best running back duo in the league. You have a speedy slot guy in Jameson Williams. You have it just doesn't make sense. I don't know, and he just doesn't know how to find success with it. So, Lions have been very good at home. They're 4-2 outright. So their defense has been very good, meaning that they haven't allowed many points when they're at home. You look at Cowboys, on the other hand, on the road. Cowboys have not been that impressive on the road, whether that's indoors, whether that's outdoors, period. They just not have been what they are at home. And that's really every year for the Cowboys, honestly. So expecting Detroit's defense to step it up and make more stops in a game where you have historically two explosive offenses, it's the only thing that makes sense, just to take the under in a primetime spot here. There's no way. And again, off of a loss, the defenses have put up very, very, very good numbers. And I'd like to point out another thing within the officiating crew. And I read your article that you put on VSiN today within the head referee. I don't know his name, but he's trending like, what is 58% to the under is what that was.
He's Ed Hockley's son, the Mr. Sean Hockley, the biceps.
Okay. That's crazy. I did not know that. So part of the officiating crew thing, he's the most profitable under referee since 2021, hitting at a 46-28. That's a 61% clip, and that's an 18% ROI for that. And in 2025 of this year, he's 7-5 to the under, 58% clip, which is still pretty good. So you have the Cowboys traveling on the road. They are also a team that gets penalized the most with false starts and holding calls and anything in between. If you got a trigger happy ref who's going to slow down the pace of this game, we absolutely love that. It's a very weird angle, and I get it. But in a game where the Lions might be down a couple guys, they might be desperate to make a couple of big plays. You have some linemen that might be trigger happy. You got to kind of hope for something to kind of limit some of these explosive plays that might happen in this game. And to me, that's one of them. And it's crazy weird. It's a crazy weird angle. I like that angle. Ultimately, we're just banging on some negative regression to both offenses. That's the main reason. But the referee is just a little sprinkle on the top, which is kind of funny. But yeah, that's where I stand.
No, you're totally right there, man. I'm with you because, again, referees, weather, I think these are two factors that a lot of bettors just don't think about. They're not sexy. They think they really don't matter. But I'll give you an example of the weather. It was the Cleveland Browns game against who did they lose to? They didn't cover against them, but that total fell. I think it was like 38 down to 35. It landed on 34. Yeah, it was that windy under. Again, if you pay attention to the weather, you cash that under. It wasn't, it ended up being very close, but still, these are factors that I think if you want to be the most well-rounded sports bettor you can be, you at least have to be aware of them. Like, anytime you play an over and then the game starts and the flagpole is whipping around, you're like, why didn't I know that? Again, you just want to be aware of these things and really try to build a case. And to your point, a lot of those angles there with the ref definitely point to the under. So if we get a lot of false starts, we get holding penalties. We want penalties on the offense to bring it back. We also don't want them to be, flag happy with these defensive backs where who was it in that Cowboys game? I loved it because I was on the boys, but that cornerback McDuffie for the Chiefs, it was like just holding, pass interference, holding, that kind of stuff you hate if you're on an over. So hopefully a small little cherry on top will be that the refs maybe will call the game hopefully toward a lower scoring spot. But I'm right there with you. You can still get, based on the current price, if you go to line shopping, you can still get the hook at DraftKings under 55.5, minus 115. But again, some shops are still 54.5, so it makes me feel a little better because I don't want to get beat by the closing line, Kate. I like to beat the closing line and win my bet if I can be greedy here. But with that being said, let's talk some props for tonight, Cade, because if we go to our breakdown here with the new, totally revamped Rithmm matchup page, which is just really cool because it just automatically kind of tells you what to click instead of usually I just click every single one and see where I can get some green stars. But I love the fact that Rithmm has made it really easy for us. And I think one overarching thing for this game, Kate, is that, the public thinks it's going to fly over. There's going to be a ton of offense. That may end up being true. Obviously, I hope it isn't true because I'm on the under. But if that's the narrative, then the public's also going to hit a lot of these player prop guys to their over. So, which in a way makes you excited to go the other way and fade some of these top guys. So, the first one that I noticed, this was a rushing yards prop, and we actually cashed on this guy on Thanksgiving. We talked about it last Wednesday. Javonte Williams. Now he's had a fantastic year. Can't argue with it. The fact that he stayed healthy is awesome because this guy's been really talented and just gets banged up every year. But he is across the market sitting at 65.5 over under rushing yards for tonight. And again, a lot of the public is saying hammer this over, but we're seeing Rithmm predict a 45.4 final rushing yardage here, which gives you about a 20-yard edge here toward the under. And again, it's not only a smart signal, but it's a recommended play, but a smart signal based on the conditions of the price, the hit rate, the ROI, the average odds, all telling us here to go under. If you shop around, I think you might be able to get 66.5 is, I guess, your best one here at DraftKings. But I'm going to throw three at you, Kate, and you tell me if you like any of them or none of them. So the first one is the Javonte under. And then the two that, if you follow Rithmm on Twitter, they just tweeted about are some studs here for the Cowboys. So the first one is CeeDee Lamb. Everyone wants to bet the CeeDee Lamb over. Guy's awesome, but is it overvalued here? Under 84.5 receiving yards, Green Star play to go under. Rhythm's predicting about 10 yards less than that, 74.9. And then George Pickens, who, again, died and went to heaven, leaving the Steelers to go to the Cowboys. He's putting up incredible numbers, but he is very similar, 82.5 receiving yards. Public's hammering the over, but Rhythm's predicting 75.7. So of those three, Cade, do any jump out to you? The CeeDee Lamb under, the George Pickens under, or the Javonte Williams under?
I almost was there on the rushing yard under for Javonte. Instead, I took the similar angle that I was basically referring to last week. I was debating between the attempts and the yards, and I actually took the yards last week. I followed Rhythm with that one. My model is actually having his rushing attempts closer to 10, and his yards are just under, I think, 63. I felt more confident putting on, and I know it's a caution signal, but still, if you're getting that's almost, is it 7-6 roughly?
That's a big edge, yeah.
So, I mean, I'm still probably going to take my chance with a high difference to market with that personally, even though it's a decently juiced prop. I still like my edge on that. Obviously, just because if you look at the amount of success that Dallas has had throwing the ball in the air, I don't really think that they just like to move the ball on the ground in this kind of game, honestly. I think they're going to try to win the game through the air. I mean, typically it's what you see most dogs do. They don't really win the games on the ground. They're going to win coming from behind, as the market thinks, at least. So it's just one of those angles where I just don't think it's a ground game. I think it's more of an air game, but I feel more comfortable on attempts rather than a yards standpoint just because of a model discrepancy. But still, again, even though it's a caution signal, that's a very big discrepancy in my opinion. And the away numbers are just as good. So I like that chance as well.
Yeah, and again, looking at home road, that really jumped out to me too, because on the one hand, overall, this is a sell high play on Javonte Williams. He's gone over this number in 3 straight games. So just the fact that you're fading, looking for aggression, he's gotten the ball a ton. Does it regress a little bit, downward to hit this under? But to your point, you look at him home road, and I really should have hammered this home, pun intended, home earlier, because the Cowboys are Jekyll and Hyde, great at home, not so good on the road. But at home, he's gone over this attempt rate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of his last 6. You look at on the road, though, complete opposite. Now, he did cash the over at Vegas, but prior to that, he had gone under 4 straight, or 5 straight, actually. So that makes a ton of sense with the Javonte Williams under. And then just in terms of CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, good edges to the under. And those are 2 bets that the sports books are really rooting for, because, again, go to FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM. When their PR people put out, hey, our top 5 most public plays tonight, CeeDee Lamb is right up there. George Pickens is right up there. So those are contrarian plays that you can sell high on. Now, you and I just want to hit on this before we move on to some more games, Cade. You and I have been big on our guy Flournoy, who you and I were texting on Thanksgiving how he cashed that thing.
Loved it.
Yeah, had a great performance. What did he have? 34 yards. And again, he hadn't done much prior to that, but easily cashed that over. Now, again, Flournoy is also over 12.5, predicted 25.3, so that's noteworthy. But I want to actually mention another guy that's even more under the radar than him. And this is a guy that I believe we hit on a little bit the previous game, but Mr. Schoonmaker, because this is a guy that, again, is not going to get a lot of attention. Obviously, Ferguson's great. Span Ford is a guy that had a touchdown last game or two when I was watching the Cowboys. But Schoonmaker is a guy who's usually a blocking receiver. But look at this kid. Can he just get you one catch tonight? All we need is one. We don't need two. We don't need three. It's not an over 1.5 or 2.5. It's literally over a half reception or over half receiving yard. So I said it wrong. He just needs one receiving yard. He is predicted 11.5. So you need one. Rithmm saying it should be about 11 or 12. That's a pretty good edge right there. And if you look at how he's trended, he's actually gone over this number quite a bit. His last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7-1 to this over in his last 8. So, Kate, any love for our guy Schoonmaker to get you 1 yard tonight? And don't go to the bathroom. Don't get a beer, because if you leave, you might miss this one play that we need for him to catch this over.
It's all it's been, because I've watched these games. It's literally just been some short yardage, like 3rd and 1, where they're inside the red zone, or it's like a 4th down conversion, and they just need literally like 2 yards, and the dude just going out in the flat every time. It's the same thing. I honestly don't know how defenses haven't figured it out yet, but again, I'm gonna keep running these lower tier guys until the other defense figures something out, because it's just funny at this point. It's literally like the last 3 of these lower tier overlooked guys have soared over everything. And I laddered Flournoy last week. I don't know if I said that last week in the podcast.
Legendary.
I laddered up to 25, and I was I was watching it, and I got really excited naturally. And my buddy looks over, he's like, why are you cheering so loud for a 15-yard catch on Ryan Flournoy for? And I was like, no reason at all. So it was same thing with Schoonmaker, I guess, for today. Why not? I'll take a 3rd and 1. And yeah, again, throwing the ball more so than running the ball. Another one of those instances, they're going to find any playmaker that they can to move the ball. So I like the chance.
Yeah, and I actually screwed up a little bit because I was talking about his over. He needed a yard, but the smart signal here is actually on his reception. So this is why I got a little screwed up. I was clicking the yardage versus the reception.
Either way, I think it's fine, though.
But yeah, either way, we basically need 1 yard, 1 catch, which I think a couple of times this year he's actually done that exact thing, 1 yard, 1 catch. But this is your smart signal with Schoonmaker. Can he get you 1 catch? It's even money, plus 100, and it is a smart signal based upon the conditions that meet this bet. So Schoonmaker, again, if you're going out Thirsty Thursday and you're the one guy at the bar who screams for a 1 yard, 1 reception, don't let anybody give you crap. You just cash your bet here, hopefully, and move on. But Schoonmaker is a guy that under the radar looks like to be some pretty good value based on the smart signal. Now, Cade, let's keep on moving here, because I got a bunch of games I want to throw at you. This one I know is near and dear to your heart. The Bengals. Bengals are going to visit the Buffalo Bills. And this one's interesting because the line has moved toward the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, Bengals, you remember, looked fantastic going to Baltimore. That was our divisional dog, primetime dog, inflated dog, system match there. I think I want to say Rithmm had it closer to a 5-point game, so Rithmm nailed that one as well. But this one, we have seen the line move toward the Bengals. A lot of books open Bills as high as -6.5. It's now down to 5.5, which is kind of no man's land. I'm interested to see, where do we go next, Cade? Can you wait and get a 6, or do you walk that tightrope and maybe it gets down to 5? But either way, we're lighting up some good system matches from Rithmm on the Bengals. Now, DraftKings, 64% bets, 82% of the dollars are on the Bengals. And Joe Burrow, this is the same stat that we gave last week. Joe Burrow as a dog. He missed a lot of time, but looked great in that game. He is now 20-11 against the spread, 65%, 24% ROI as a dog in his career. So this would match Burrow as a dog low bets, higher dollar bet split at DraftKings, as well as a rest advantage. Because remember, we had obviously the Bengals play on Thanksgiving, Bills played on Sunday. So rest advantage, line move toward the Bengals. I don't know if you know anything about T. Higgins. Obviously, we want him to play in this one. I know he's banged up. I think he's maybe questionable for this game. I don't know if he's practiced all week. But even if he's not playing, I like the points here with the Bengals, Cade. There are 3 recommended plays here. First one has Bengals plus 4.4. That's a caution flag, but still, we're looking at an edge over the 5.5. Second is a Green Star recommended play, Bengals plus 3.9. So you're looking at about 1.5 of an edge there off the current price. But then the one we really like is a Green Star recommended smart signal, Bengals getting 4.1. So again, this is a spot where we have a Burrow as a dog system match, line move toward the Bengals. Rest advantage. It's all lining up here with Cincinnati. I'd love to get the 6. I don't know if that's going to come back, but can I interest you in Bengals plus 5.5, Cade?
Yeah, I did get this opener at plus 6. That was at minus 110 on DraftKings earlier this week. As far as Higgins goes, I know that he did practice today.
Good.
I think he practiced yesterday. Tomorrow, final injury report comes out. So obviously we're going to know majority then. But supposedly it's quoted out as a really good chance to play. So if he does, fantastic. That's another weapon. That's one of Burrow's favorite guys, especially outside the numbers. So I really like that. If not, I think they looked fine last week, honestly, just as good. So I'm hoping so. It's very weird last week, honestly. I didn't expect them to be that good. I expected them to keep it close. I don't know about winning, but the defense looked like the 2021 Super Bowl team defense that day. I don't know what the heck it was. Maybe it was Burrow. Maybe he just unloaded a spark on him. I have no idea. I wish we could get that every week because five turnovers is ridiculous. But you're still not going to have Trey Hendrickson. If they just keep up a strong pass rush, I think they can do a lot of damage in this game personally. Coming from behind again, Burrow did look good. Didn't necessarily look like he was limited in any way. They still moved the ball on the ground. So Chase Brown is still consistently putting up good numbers. I know he was at 100 plus scrimmage yards for 3 straight weeks. I don't know if he kept that open last week or not, but very good. So they're still moving the ball offensively, which is a great sign. It's just, can we trust the defense 2 weeks in a row to limit such a very, very talented offense, Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills? Against the run, Bengals are not that great. Obviously, you have a guy like James Cook and Ray Davis who punished Pittsburgh this past Sunday. Not a happy camper about that one. Mike Tomlin, again, the home dog, he let me down there again. So I don't know if I'm going to be doing that mistake.
I'm done with the Steelers. Again, they're kind of sharp
so
again
bad,
this week.
Dude.
Watch, we'll lay off and they'll win outright. That's how it
probably.
Yeah,
that's usually how it
sick
works.
Of them right now.
I can't do it. On the other side, though, if you go to Buffalo, I don't think their defense has looked all that great these last few weeks. I get it. You did limit Pittsburgh. You were without Aaron Rodgers for some of that game. I think a little bit more than that. I didn't watch it. I just saw the score and I just made this stank face ugly and just whatever. But again, like I was saying earlier, the Bengals have found the way to move the ball, even without Burrow, even with Burrow, doesn't matter. They have been consistent through the air, on the ground. They are just moving chains. That's what they do. That's been their team this entire year. So I can trust them. Again, it's just trusting the defense. But in this case, I do trust the defense. They've been great in Buffalo. I don't see why this game isn't as closer than what people think, honestly.
Yeah, I'm with you. Again, Burrow as a dog, line moved here toward the Bengals. Extra rest advantage late in the year. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
So, I'm looking toward the points there, right there with you, Cade, taking Bengals plus 5.5 this weekend. Next one I wanted to throw at you was Colts and Jaguars, because don't stop now or don't look now, but this is becoming a competitive division. Kind of felt like the Colts would run away with this thing. They've kind of hit hard times here recently. Lost a couple games in a row. Jags have played well. The Texans are still alive here. I want to get to the Texans game after this here, Cade. But this is a spot where I'm liking the points here with the home dog. Now, you can't get a 3 anymore, but this line has moved toward Jags. Maybe you play the Jags to just win this thing outright. But we did open this game, Cade, with the Colts around a 2.5 point favorite on the road. The 2.5 is down to 1.5. So it's notable to me that when you can get a favorite sub 3, they just have to win by a field goal or more. Yet that's not where the smart money's going. It's taking that dog that isn't getting the key number of 3. And like basically they're saying, hey, either it's a 1-point game, which is somewhat rare, or they're just going to win this game outright. So the line is moving toward the Jaguars. That's notable too, because the Jags are only getting 40% of spread bets at DraftKings. So majority of tickets are Colts, but the line is moving toward the Jags. If you look at Circa, it's a totally different story. Looks like the pros in Vegas really like the Jags here. 80% bets over 90% dollars. You and I love a divisional dog. You still have that divisional dog angle here with the Jaguars, where divisional dogs are covering nearly 54% of the time last decade or so versus like 51% for a non-divisional dog. Jags are 4-2 at home. Indy's only 2-3 on the road. They lost Sauce Gardner, so he's a guy who is going to be banged up. He won't be lost for the year, but he's, I believe, going to miss this game. If you want to tease up the Jags, 1.5 to 7.5, great teaser play because you're going through the 3 and the 7. But this always gets me excited, Cade, when you have a spot where you can get a dog plus the points and Rithmm says they should win this game outright. This has happened a couple times, if you remember. This happened with Kentucky beating Florida, UTSA. Remember that one where they beat ECU, where they were favored to win the game, and you could have gotten them, I think, plus 2.5. But let's just look at our models here. First model says Jags should be minus 1.4. You're getting 1.5. Second model has the Jaguars plus 0.3. So basically a pick'em game, and you're getting 1.5. So still a little bit of an edge there. But the last one that really gets me excited, Green Star recommended play, Jaguars minus 1.2. So we should tell Megan and the team, like, can you create a new icon that says like dog expected to win? Like there should be some kind of indicator there, because, hey, I'll play that every single time, especially if the line's moving toward that team, especially if it's a divisional dog. I mean, we're lining up here a lot of great angles to take the Jags. So I'll take the 1.5, Cade. Again, I wish I got a 3, but never really was 3. 2.5 didn't last long. Do you just play Jags to be a little bold? Just play them to win the game? Let's see what they have here for recommendations. Yeah, all 3 to just take the money line. But what do you think for this one, Cade? Are you on the Jags bandwagon at home against the Colts?
This one's conflicting because I've liked backing the Colts a lot this year, but these last 5 weeks, it seems like they just fell off a cliff, like most indie sports. Sorry, this is random stray. They're 1-4 in their last 5, though, and I mean, you lose DeForest Buckner, you lose Sauce Gardner, and if I'm not mistaken, I think both might go to IR. I don't know how true that is or not. I know it's going to be multiple weeks. I just don't know if it's IR worthy or not. The defense has left a lot to be desired against a lot of these very mediocre offenses. Now, the Jaguars aren't necessarily one that put up points. They're not like the Bengals, you know what I mean? They're not consistently compete 27 plus week in, week out. But they found ways to move the ball, and their defense early on what looked like one of the best in the league at some point with their turnover rate. That was really extremely high for the first 3 to 4 weeks of the year. Has since then kind of dipped. I fluctuated on this game a lot. And I know there's still some speculation about Daniel Jones as well. The dude's playing on a broken fibula, apparently. I don't know. I don't even know how true that is. I haven't even seen official reports. I've just seen the Twitter post of him wobbling around in practice and doing a drop back. And it's just, I feel like any given Sunday, we're just going to see some crazy clip of dudes slow motion. And I don't even want to know. It's going to be gross. Trevor Lawrence, on the other hand, though, has coming off of his best game the entire year. Didn't turn the ball over a single time. However, he did complete less than 60% of his passes, but it's a promising step up, I should say. And like I said, when you have guys out like Sauce and you have pass rusher like DeForest Buckner that is out as well, that should open up some sort of the passing game in a way. Ultimately, I kind of wanted to look into a total because honestly, I think the line's going to flip. I think the Jags close as favorites personally, but I don't know if I wanted an under and just like fade both of the offenses or just stay away completely just because of how conflicted I am, because both of my models conflicted on the total, both of my models conflicted on the side, and it was just like, well, great, here we go. So I'm honestly, I don't know. I kind of want to wait. I do like your teaser idea that was honestly, that completely flew out of my mind. I didn't even look into that at all, which I might. So that could be an option. At the very worst, you probably could do that, to be completely honest with you. But weather's supposed to be nice. If Lawrence is coming off of his best game, you would think that they kind of go back to slinging the ball, knowing William Cohen and his offensive mind. It looks like, I mean, he's thrown 2 touchdown passes or more in the past 2 weeks. So he's on a streak right now. He's feeling good. Like I said, you're getting these defensive players for the Colts that are out. It just looks like all the signs point at the Jags. It's just, I don't know if I can trust their defense necessarily to stop Jonathan Taylor, to stop A.D. Mitchell, to stop Daniel Jones, even whatever's going on with him. I just don't know. I'm not there yet. I kind of want to wait to see what the market does first, just because the models are conflicting for me personally.
Yeah, I respect that. Definitely give it a couple days here. See if, if we see this thing get down to 1, or like you said, flip toward a pick 'em or go dog to fave. I mean, that's going to be a clear indicator. Like there was a game last night, I bet, in college basketball. By the way, you can get all these college hoops plays from Rithmm as well. But it was Arkansas against Louisville, where Louisville opened like minus 3.5. It got down to 2.5, then 1.5. And it was pretty clear all that money was going toward Arkansas. They ended up winning the game outright. So anytime you see like a continuous line move with no buyback, especially around a low number that gets lower, usually that's a good sign that team's taking in big money. The other angle, I'm not going to put a lot of stock into it, Cade, but if you just kind of just read a little bit of this matchup, the Colts have really struggled going to Jacksonville. I believe it's the last decade.
Did see that. They haven't since Blake Bortles era, is what I've seen.
Yeah, they're 0-10, I think, last 10. And I mean, you're a dome team. I know you're up north, which is colder, but dome team going south, you think it wouldn't be that big a deal? Well, whatever it is, something about Jacksonville, maybe that continues. So I'm going to follow these recommended plays. I do like the Jags in this spot, so I'll take the points and follow Rithmm. Last one that I wanted to run by you, Cade, was the Sunday night game, Texans and the Chiefs. And I think you and I were kind of maybe ahead of fading the Chiefs a little bit, more so than the public. I think the public just refuses to give up on the Chiefs. Maybe they've kind of given up on them now. Stephen A. Smith is saying you got to win all your games remaining just to make it into the playoffs. It's really dire straits here for the Kansas City Chiefs. You're at 500. You're outside the playoff picture. You got to win outright. Maybe they do win outright this week, but I'm going to take the 3.5 with the Texans. This line has moved toward Houston. I mean, some shops opened. It was kind of early, but it was as high as, I want to say KC, like minus 5.5, 4.5. Now it's down to 3.5. You're juiced up toward Houston plus 3.5, minus 115, minus 120. Some books are getting down to 3. And on the side of the Texans, this is a 50-50 line move. The public doesn't know what to do. They still don't want to give up on the Chiefs, but then Houston is kind of surging right now. They have the number 1 defense in football. I know Mahomes is at home where he's been great, but this kind of feels to me like maybe KC ekes out a 3-point win. Who knows? Maybe they lose outright. But one of those KC games that you and I always talk about where they might win. Right now they're losing these games, but typically over the years they've won, but won by 3 and not covered with the hook. So I'll take the 3.5 here with the Texans. It's also a primetime dog, which you and I like. Dog low total. It's a very low total game, 41.5. So that's correlative betting advantage there with the dog. And I know none of these are Green Star recommended plays, but they're all lining up on the Texans. So the first one, Texans plus 3.2. Again, you can get a hook, 3.5. Second model is Texans plus 2.7. That's an even bigger edge over the 3.5. And then the third model is Houston Texans plus 3.3. So again, not the biggest edge in the world. It's not like, Rithmm says Texans should be favored or only getting 1, but still the line's moving toward Houston. Kansas City looks vulnerable right now. Maybe they win, but don't cover the number. What do you think, Cade? I'm looking at Houston Texans plus 3.5. Any thoughts on this one on Sunday night?
Yes. And again, keep fading the Chiefs. Same thing we said like the last 3 weeks now, and
Yep.
they've just lost outright in both of those games. So keep going. They're not the team that they were. Like, we kind of know that now. I don't know if it's like a fatigue thing. I don't know if it's just in over their head. I honestly, I don't know. It could just be flat out regression from people actually figuring them out, unless if it was just flat out luck. I don't know. The late game situations that they have been in have not been played well, not been coached well. And it's not necessarily anything against Andy Reid or anything. It's just they have not managed very good in these late games. And when you have these short lines like they have had, that's what it's pretty much expecting. You're expecting this fourth quarter could be a tie game. You could be down a couple of score. I don't think I'm confident enough to put active currency on this team to where I can say that they just comfortably win by more than a possession or at least a touchdown, especially knowing how elite Texans defense is. There's no way. They are actually, if I'm not mistaken, they are the best defense in football now. It was the Rams. I think they actually just overtook that, if I'm not mistaken. So they own that. First in opponent EPA, third in opponent success rate, second in defensive DVOA, and fourth in opponent yards per play. That is less than 5. That's 4.7, which is very good. Offensively, very roller coastery type of feel to it. I think they're still finding their stride. Then again, you've had Davis Mills come in, you've had CJ Stroud come in, then you've had Davis Mills come back, you've had CJ Stroud come back. I think they were out a couple of weapons as well. So I'm not necessarily going to toot on them for a little bit. As much as I'm rooting for another outright win, I'd be surprised if the Chiefs are able to cover this number just like they haven't been all year. That's one of my plays. I do have a play in the total, but I'll let you go there first.
Well, yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm glad you kind of backed me up on that one. Again, your best odds here, 3.5 minus 115. But remember, the juiced up side is the side where if you're, on the golf course licking your finger trying to see which way the wind blows, Cade, that's telling you it's more likely to get down to 3 than, tick back up to 4. So I put this in. I just feel like, hey, this is a spot where on the one hand, I'm like afraid of continuing to fade the Chiefs. I know it's been a really winning, venture here the last few weeks, but I'm really worried like, hey, are they finally going to show up and be themselves again? But still, what's the betting market doing? It's leaning back toward Houston. You mentioned it. Primetime dog, great defense, all these angles that we love to see. So I grabbed the 3.5 now thinking if you wait too long, by the time Sunday night rolls around, what if it's down to 3? What if they lose by 3 and then you push when you could have gotten it in earlier and cover that number? The rest I got for you, Cade, are props and then college plays. But if you want to let me know your play on the total here, are you going to go really low total under, or are you thinking points and maybe it goes over? What's your thought on that one?
I got the opener of 43.5 and I took the under.
Ooh, great CLV. Nice.
I liked where, again, we already went over the elite defensive aspect. We know what the Texans are capable of. We know what they do. In terms of their offensive side, though, I don't know if they can consistently put up points like they have. They're just around like 20 points per game in the last 3. And the pass blocking, the O-line for them has been atrocious. Like, you're getting killed in the backfield pretty early and often. If I'm not mistaken, Kansas City's secondary is top 5, I think. I don't know. I'm not looking at it right now. But McDuffie, that entire unit as a whole, studs all the way around. They can cover like a blanket, and they do it well. On the other hand, when you have the primetime systems on top of that, you actually have other systems where Texans are 8-3. They're the best under team in the league. Kansas City right behind them. They're 8-4. And again, plug in all the outdoor, outdoor prime time, whatever you want to call it. They're there. The systems are there. I'm fine with the 43.5. I'm going to be that guy and root for no points on a primetime game again. We're going to hope it hits out for us.
Well, Cade, looks like too. I just looked at the weather. It's going to be very cold at
Bad.
Arrowhead.
Yeah.
I guess it's, what is it, GEHA? It'll always be Arrowhead. I hate
I
when
don't
they
know
try
why
to
they
like,
put
it's
that
like,
there. Yeah, no.
yeah, like Safeco, that's like T-Mobile. Like, no, it'll be, whatever. Anyway, but really cold, low 20s and 10-mile-per-hour winds. So windy, cold, under makes sense here. So I think you got a really good number there. Already got 2 points of CLV. So I'll be with you riding that under. Now, before we get to some college games, there's so many great props here recommended by Rithmm, but there were just a couple that I wanted to just throw at you because they jumped out to me and they both happen to be on the same game. And it is the, let's see, it is the, where am I at? Tennessee, Cleveland. So Tennessee, Cleveland's favored by like 4 points in this one. It's a very low total of 34, but it's another, cloudy skies, cold, windy game, 10 to 15 mile per hour winds. And I just saw randomly both tight ends are jumping out to me. And the thought to me, Cade, is that if it's windy and you have, Shedeur Sanders against Cam Ward, you're probably going to maybe keep it close to the vest. I don't know if you're going to bomb a lot of passes, but who's your security blanket? Typically your tight end. So the first one that jumped out to me was David Njoku. This is a Green Star Smart Signal recommended play to go over 1.5 catches. So can he get you 2 catches? I think it's definitely doable. This is one of the top rated prop bets of the weekend for Rithmm, 3.6. So you're almost basically doubling up here on his catches. The other angle that you're looking at trend wise is that he's been pretty consistent to this over. Now, Shedeur, he played with him last week, had 2 catches, so cashed the over 1.5. But even prior to that, when it was Dylan Gabriel, by my mark here, Cade, he's gone over 1.5 catches. So he's had 2 catches or more in 9 of his last 10 games. Maybe Shedeur, says, hey, the pocket's falling down. He's scrambling. I got to get this ball out. And Njoku's a big target in a windy game who you could focus on. So that's the first one that jumped out to me. And then the other one might be easier if I just go to the game. It is, if I go to the props, we'll go to calendar and we'll go to the Browns game. It is one of the funnest names to say, Cade. Chig Okonkwo, the tight end here for the Tennessee Titans. His receiving yardage to the over, because he is listed in the market at 21.5 receiving yards. Rithmm is predicting 35. And if you look at his trend line, he's gone over this number quite a bit. I believe he's gone over 3-0 his last 3, 7-3 his last 10. This is a big, again, same sort of thought. Like if Njoku could have a good game in the wind, maybe, Chig with some, yak yards after catch could get you this number too. So those are 2 prop bets that jumped out to me. And again, there's tons of them here. So, we could be here all night highlighting all the good ones. Cade, before we get to college, any thoughts on those 2, or if you want to go in a different direction, you have any other props or just good game bets for any of these other NFL games?
Yeah, I can talk about these 2 for sure.
Nice.
One, big fantasy guy right here, right? David Njoku was my tight end one that I drafted. Terrible pick, apparently, as of now. These fell off terribly. Nonetheless, I did check my predictions, and I'm having him at 3.4 for 23 yards. So very good sign. Once again, like I said, how my philosophy goes with basically with my models agreeing, it means bet, right? So pretty simple in terms of the props. And then I look for Chig, same thing as well. I'm at 3.9 receptions with 30.2 receiving yards. So again, on both, I do like it. And then, yeah, I agree within the cold weather angle as well. Don't necessarily like to see a lot of those downfield throws. I will point out Njoku's target share has been very impressive to me as of late. He's got at least 2 or more targets in the last 5 games. One of those games he got up to 5. There's only one of those games where he got none, and that was the one that he got hurt in. So essentially, just say like the last 4 that he's actually played in, he's got at least 2 or more targets. So the shares are there and the snaps are there. If he can just get the ball to the playmaker, we're fine. We'll take it. I did look at another one, honestly. It's really gross. I'm not going to lie.
Love it. What do you got?
Amon-Ra did get upgraded.
He's in. I'm shocked he's playing.
He did just say that he's playing. me personally, I don't know if this is me being like just trying to be too smart about something or what. I think this is a Jameson Williams game where you have under receptions over yards, and it's just like a downfield bomb, and then that's all we see from him for the rest of the game. I took under 5.5, and I'd seen that Rithmm actually had his under receptions of 5.5, which pointed out to me first. I looked at my projection on my models. I'm having him at 96 yards, but at 4.7 receptions. I played his under receptions, his over yards, altered up to 80 plus, and then I took him for an anytime touchdown. I don't know what it is. I know I have the under, and I know I'm betting a touchdown here. But if I just hit that, I'd be fine. For the sake of the clip, how about that? You know what?
Yeah.
For the sake of highlighting Rithmm, saying the under 5.5 receptions, mine had the 4.7. I think Rithmm had them around the same. I'll take the chance of it. But
yeah, let's find it for you. Who was it? JMO. Yeah, under 5.5, predicted 4.3.
Yeah. So
the other thing too is like if I'm on Ross St. Brown, give the guy credit. I mean, playing the next week, not practicing and all that. These players are insane. Like I'm not. I could never be an NFL athlete. I'd much rather bet on these games. But like the other thing is, if he's banged up, is he a decoy? Does that provide opportunities for other players? He is a short yardage guy though, so I don't know. We'll see how he how he looks out there. But I'm kind of shocked. I'm surprised he's playing. And to your point again, JMO under 5.5 makes a ton of sense. Now, Cade, let's get into some of these college football championship conference games here because there are a ton on the board, and I'm seeing a few that caught my eye. So I like to do the show with you every Thursday, Cade, and if there's something I kind of lean on, I see how you react, and if you get me, pumped and your numbers kind of agree, then you can send me over the edge. I remember that UTSA game a couple weeks ago. You did that for me, so appreciate that, buddy. But let's go to some games for conference championship week. And the first one I want to throw at you was North Texas and Tulane. So this is your American Conference title game. This is 8:00 coming up tomorrow night. So, got some action tomorrow night if you want to sweat it. I believe it is in Tulane, so it's a true home game for Tulane. You got to check because some of these games are neutral sites. But the line has moved toward Tulane, even though the public is on North Texas. North Texas has the better ranking. I believe they're a slightly better record. I think they're 11-1 or something. Tulane's 10-2 or something like that. But anyway, it opened North Texas -3. The line's down to 2.5. And why is that important to me? Because 65% of spread bets are taking North Texas. So if North Texas is getting 2 out of 3 bets in a heavily bet primetime conference championship game, shouldn't they be up to -3.5, -4? No, it's gone the other way. It's fallen toward Tulane. You also look at primetime contrarian dog, heavily bet Friday night game. And then 2 models, both on Tulane. First one says Tulane should be only getting 1/3 of a point. Second Green Star play, same thing, 1/3 of a point. So I can be against the public in a Friday night primetime game with a sharp reverse line move. Again, I would love the 3. I don't know if we're going to get the 3. Maybe not right now. But what do you think, Cade? Any love for Tulane and the points? Rithmm says it should be pretty much a pick'em game. You can still get a 2.5 here with the green wave.
So, unfortunately, not even unfortunately, actually, I can't even help that. One of my favorite futures in the preseason, I played North Texas team total over 6.5, which was the easiest bet of my life. I then played them to win the American at +1,300. So I have that in line for today. Yes,
so you're just going to sit that one out and just, can they win by 1 or 2? Can I cover my 2.5?
Yeah. I will hedge and I will play Tulane money line, although that's not necessarily a play that I'm like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard for me to justify either side at this point because I see both sides and there's very good angles on both sides. You have the market play that's screaming Tulane, but I mean, they are the more proven team against these like high-end competition. I mean, they've beaten Power 4 opponents. We've seen what they can do. They had a bad game against a team that was below 500. And the last time North Texas played a ranked team with a pulse, I should just say, they lost by almost 30. and that was to South Florida. That was at home. That was against a sold out home crowd. I would know because I had North Texas.
Funny how we always remember those. Yeah.
Right. The other weird angle, and for those people who do keep up with college ball, both of these coaches, you have John Summerall, you have Eric Morris, both of these coaches are taking different jobs at the end of the year. So literally once this game is done, one of them is going to go to the playoff. That's already confirmed. The other one is going to start his career at a different school. So it's kind of weird how they're just, this is literally could be their last game for either side. Mestemaker, very talented QB. He could put up numbers that Retzlaff could not match. However, North Texas defense is going to have a very bad day. This Tulane offense is legit, and it is very, very good. They have to do everything to control tempo, and all of a sudden you're getting dragged into your own territory, and all of a sudden it's just a 40-yard touchdown, and then your drive's over, and you're just gasping for air. And before you know it, you're back out there after Tulane's defense forces a 3-and-out. That's been Tulane all year. And it's run, deep pass, run some more, tempo. Like, they gas the heck out of defenses. It's one of the most fun tempos in college football. This game is going to be really fun. It's going to be high pace. It's going to be very fast tempo on both sides. I might just root for points and just play the over for fun. But my smart play, yes, would have to be Tulane just because of the market influence on it. Although, again, like I said, my future is on North Texas. That would be amazing if I had that one. But ultimately, I just don't know if I see the world where Tulane keeps up, or if North Texas keeps up with that tempo. They're such a fast-paced offense. It's so hard it's so impressive what they've done this year.
Right there with you. Well, it sounds to me, if you weren't so, take committed with your futures bet. I know when you get a big future, that's like, hey, like that, it's, I'm not going to say it clouds your vision, but it's like, hey, I got money on the line here. Let's root for that future to cash. But
it's hard, but yeah, I don't.
Yeah. So, but hey, maybe you want to hedge a little bit with Tulane, guarantee a profit.
Absolutely. I'm already on it.
There's nothing wrong with that. This is the other. We actually have two more. I'll save the big one for last. Indiana against Ohio State. But let me just ask you real quick. ACC championship game, Duke and Virginia, because it's pretty clear here that the line is moving toward UVA. Virginia opened this game as low as -2.5. They're now all the way up to -3.5, -4. There's some -4.5s out there. And everybody and their mother is on Virginia. Virginia is getting 82% of spread bets at DraftKings. This is a primetime game coming up on Saturday night. I'm thinking, is there a world where you play Duke as a really inflated, gross dog that no one wants to touch? Now, I'm not going to call Duke a sharp play per se, but one thing that I noticed is, again, the lines move toward Virginia. This is really, to me, a play where you're just saying, I'm fading the public, and I'm just going to let this line go as high as it can go. So do we even get to 5, between now and tomorrow? But both of my Rithmm models are on Duke. So the first one says Duke should only be getting 2.6 points. And then the second model, which is a Green Star recommended play, says Duke should only be getting 3.9 points. So in a way, I'd rather this line open at, Virginia -6 and it's down to 4.5. It's gone the other way. It's gone up toward Virginia. But when you're telling me, Cade, that we have a championship game with one team only getting 18% of spread bets in a primetime spot with an inflated line, and Rithmm says it should be closer to a 2 or 3 point game, that at least intrigues me to think about taking Duke here. Any thoughts on this one? Is this a follow the market, lines going to Virginia, play Virginia, or do you think maybe there's an overreaction and we could maybe be smart here by buying low on, or even holding out for a 5 on Duke?
This game's really weird. Like, very weird. Because if you guys remember earlier in the year, Duke hosted Virginia and got absolutely boat raced in their home stadium. Now the line, in terms of that, they were 5.5. Duke was 5.5 at home, -5.5, mind you. Now all of a sudden you're going to a neutral site that is 2 hours away from campus, which is not really that far. It's still a neutral site, but they're 3-point moving to 4-point dogs. This is so weird to me, and like it screams stay away, but the thought of football ending just makes me want to play it so bad. I Duke's defense is terrible. Okay. They have pretty much found themselves in utter chaos where if they win, they have an argument of winning a Power Four conference championship and finding themselves in the playoff, which more than likely will not happen. But for the sake of scenarios, it's a general possibility that the committee has the idea there and they can if they technically want to. However, then again, a win also for Duke means that ACC will not have a team in the playoff, so which is also another big ouch for the conference. So it kind of feels like they really want Virginia to win just to have somebody representing them in there. But, 4 of these conference championships are rematches. Rematches have tended to actually be not too, I don't want to say lopsided, I guess is the right word for it, in terms of spreads. They're actually 29-29 when you have a second time playing against each other in terms of regular season, then you play in conference championship. They're 29-29 against the spread flat. So there's not necessarily an edge to either side, I should say. But I'm really just looking at the last game that they played against each other. It is extremely, extremely hard to back Duke in this spot. But with the amount of money that is coming in on Virginia, you honestly could probably wait and get this at 5. Hope to God Virginia scores early. You might get that at a 7. It could be a higher scoring game. I just don't think I can back Duke right now at the number, especially with it not necessarily being a key in that way. 4, absolutely, yes, is a key. But again, if it's trending up to 5, like it's looking like it is because of the juice and all that, I might just wait until I can get like a 6 or a 7 live. But like again, back in the regular season when they played each other, they ran for 1.8 yards carry, and Mensa completed less than half of his passes. And the only other touchdown that they had was a pick 6 that wasn't even scored by the offense. I don't know. It's so hard to do it. It really is. But just for the sole sake of chaos, as a college football fan, I would personally love to see Duke win this game. But I will look for it live. I like where the market is trending towards because that's basically where my lean is, as I would say. It's just too short for me right now to basically say that I'm confident enough to put them at 4.5 on a neutral field when they got blasted at home. It's just, I don't know.
No, totally fair, man. Yeah, I agree. It's like sometimes with these plays, you're just playing the number, you're playing the value, you're playing the game of
right.
It becomes such a public play and moves so much that, hey, myself as a contrarian better, it excites me the idea that I can be against the public and be getting an additional point, 2 points even, just because the public has moved it so much. So, point well taken there, Cade. That you're a little apprehensive about this one, which I think you should be because hey, they got, again, as you mentioned, blown up pretty good in that first matchup. Now, let's finish off the stream with the big one. You're an Ohio guy. I remember going a long time ago. It was one of our first pods. It was Ohio State, Texas. Remember that line fell toward, I'll never forget it. It's weird how you remember these things. The line fell toward Texas. It was like Ohio State 3.5 down to 1. Then it started to creep back up a little bit. Public was on Texas. Ohio State wins the game 14-7. Why do I bring that up? Because that game, that 7-point margin of victory for Ohio State, that was their smallest margin of victory all year. So they have won every game by at least 7 points or more. Now you're facing the best team that you've faced all year. So you're looking at, of course, Mendoza, Cignetti, Indiana. Should be a fantastic matchup here, which is already going to be the most heavily bet game of the weekend. Now, let me look at it from a data standpoint, because this one I really need your help on, Cade, because from a data standpoint, man, Indiana looks kind of sharp here, don't they? Like they opened with Ohio State, and I believe this is at Lucas Oil Stadium. So technically Indiana, maybe they have a little home cooking here. But this game opened it opened at Ohio State -6. Now it's down to 4.5 or even 4. So the line has moved toward Indiana. That tells me that the 6, 5.5, 5s, I mean, you did have some respected money take Indiana at the very beginning. the public is all over Ohio State, and you can't blame them. Maybe going back to back here. They've been great all season. They've never lost. They've never won a game by less than 7. Now you only have to lay 4.5. But even though 80% of bets are on Ohio State, the line has moved toward Indiana. All that being said, if Rithmm didn't exist, which I would hate because I like being a part of Rithmm, and I know you do too, Cade, this would be hold your nose, take Indiana. Only 20% of bets. Lines moving in their favor. Indiana, again, really good team. Obviously, they aren't historically at the level of Ohio State, but they've gotten there over the last couple of years. But here's what really trips me up before I can fire on Indiana. Kate, I don't know if you've seen this prediction here from Rithmm. Rithm's going out on a limb a little bit. When we click this, both on Ohio State, both saying lay the 4. Rithmm has Ohio State minus 10.3. Rithmm says Ohio State should win this game by 10 points. So if you are laying a 4 and Rithmm says it should be a 10-point game, I mean, this has got to be one of the biggest discrepancies that I've seen maybe all season long. I know there's been a few of these, but it's pretty rare that you can lay a 4 and Rithmm says it should be almost 3 times that spread. That tells me, man, how do I not lay it with Ohio State? That's such a big discrepancy play right there. So one is, what was it, 10.3, and then the other model, it's a it's a caution flag, 9.5. So split the difference. Rithmm is saying Ohio State should win by 10. We only have to lay a 4, but it scares me, Cade, because I'm against the line move and I'm with the masses who say, don't even think about it. Ohio State's awesome. They're the balls. Just lay it. Don't even think about it. Let me throw it to you, my man. Are you surprised by this 10-point discrepancy play or 10-point recommended spread? Is this an automatic, don't think about it too much, go Ohio State? Or is it, I don't know, going to be a closer game, which tells us based on the line move, a lot of respected bettors think it'll be a closer game. How do you handle this one?
I'm very surprised of what this discrepancy is showing. I was biting my nails because I looked at this and I looked at mine. Mine were pretty much around the same. I was at 7 and then I was at 9 for another one. And I was like, I swear to God, if this thing is like not around mine, I'm going to be so pissed because this is my biggest wager of the year. I'll just start out with that. I have 3 units pending in this game. I am an Ohio guy. I'm going to be watching this game surrounded by scarlet and gray. I'm already in a couple of enemy territory. I'm an Irish guy. I've been to Indiana's campus, the crowd, the scene. It's been phenomenal what they've had the last 2 years. But by God, they win one big game against Oregon, and all of a sudden they can compete with the big dogs. Since then, they haven't played a team with a pulse. You played against Penn State, you almost lose outright. I think we had Penn State in that one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And Ohio State, on the other hand, like you said, comfortably, 0 signs of weakness, even against an arch rival on the road. They put belt on these kids, poor guys. So, nonetheless, 3 units are on Ohio State at minus 3.5 for minus 107 at Novig, who gave that number, and I cannot believe I had that number available to me. So, nonetheless, I did slam that one. Took Indiana's team total under 21.5. Ladies and gentlemen, this should not be close. I'm sorry. You guys remember the last time that Indiana was so much talking and they were undefeated. They were so ready for the big game against Ohio State. They get their shot. Then you lose by 30 on the road. Same thing with this. I'm sorry. This defense is NFL caliber. There's not a single person on this team where I'm looking back at the Alabama days. The amount of first-round draft picks on this squad is endless. Nonetheless, you have young stars who are going to be these first-round draft picks. You have Cardinal Tate, you have Jeremiah Smith, you have Bo Jackson, you have Julian Sain, you have all the offensive linemen in the world, you have Arvell Reese, you have Caleb Downs. The list is literally endless. Indiana's offense, phenomenal by any means. What they've done is incredible. I'm sorry. It's not going to be close. By 10, yes. Rithmm makes me want to ladder this. That's how confident I would be in this model. It could be. This might turn into the clip of the century. You know, I don't know. I wanted to see this game all year though. It was by 23 last year. It might be by 20 again. I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. It's Ohio State, and it's not going to be close. It's the
I'm glad, you know, with your confidence, because this is like rip me in half. Like my data-driven contrarian play is like, dude, everyone's on Ohio State. You got to go and take the contrarian line move with, obviously with Nebraska or with I'm blanking on it. Yeah, Indiana. But again, when you see a Rithmm discrepancy that large, it's like I'm wearing a Rithmm hat. There's a Rithmm live stream. How do we not take Ohio State here? So we'll see. Maybe I'll just say,
one of
hey,
the greatest teams I've ever seen. It's insane what this team is doing right now, and there's just no way that I'm seeing less than 5 points on the board in a big stage like this. I can't see it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. I totally agree. Before we get out of here, I just want to ask you real quick, any thoughts on the Heisman? I've been going back and forth. Mendoza, Julian saying they're both basically the same, plus 165. I'm looking at one shop. You might find one guy a little bit ahead of the other, but it looks like a two-man race. Diego Pavia is kind of in there, like plus 200. But do you play one or the other? If Ohio State does win by 10 or more and looks good and maybe shuts Mendoza down, does that give – is it Sayin? I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Is it Julian?
Yeah.
How do you – yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Is it a Sayin play? Like, what are your thoughts? Have you made a wager on the Heisman here?
My wager on the Heisman now apparently is dead. I don't know if you see the hat. It's a shamrock. I'm a Notre Dame guy.
Okay.
Again. I put on Jeremiah Love earlier in the year,
yeah.
And he got hurt against Stanford last week, so that's dead. This game to me apparently is what it seems like. Whoever wins the Heisman, apparently. If you wanted to, just because of how it is right now, you probably could play Sayin just because of the price that it's still at before it probably jumps up to minus 200 to minus 300 after Ohio State wins, or vice versa. You could take Mendoza as technically you can call that a hedge. I mean, literally, whoever quarterback wins this game wins the trophy. That's as simple as I can make it, honestly. I don't know. I don't have the live odds in front of me. I don't know how juiced Sayin is, but or if even if he might, is he plus money still?
I'm looking at one. He's like plus 160, but it's pretty close. That might be stale. I'm not sure, but
I mean, if they're, I don't know. Even Pavia, he might be a finalist. He might be there. It's just not in a conference title game. I just don't know. Depending on how good or how big they win by, those odds could literally go up an elevator overnight. Like it's so. If you're gonna play one, honestly, if this is what I would do personally, if whichever team you're playing here, take the opposite quarterback to win the Heisman. It could be a potential hedge at that point, honestly.
Good point. Or do you find the best odds on both, put one unit on each? One's going to win most likely. You're going to lose one.
Have a little bit of arb betting there.
Yeah, arbit and get half a unit, and you're not going to break the bank, but maybe you can corner the market that way. So that's the one I'm interested to see what goes on here. This could be a legendary Rithmm prediction. They're 4-point spread, favored by 10. This could go on the Rithmm Hall of Fame. So let's go Buckeyes. How about that one, Cade?
I hate saying it, but yeah.
But that about does it for our live stream. So I want to say thank you to everyone for tuning in. And Cade, it's been a pleasure, my man. Look forward to doing it again with you next week. Any final thoughts here before we get out of here, or what do you think? Should we sign off?
I'm good. Go Lions. I'm hoping for that crazy JMO parlay to kind of take us home tonight, maybe. But yeah, other than that, should be a good weekend. We're gonna enjoy these last few weekends. Big college football weekend, obviously, and then we have a really good NFL slate on the other hand of that. So just enjoy these last couple weeks of regular season football, and we'll see you guys probably next Thursday, I'm assuming, for the other portion of that.
That's right. Well, look forward to it, Cade. Good job, my man. Thank you all for tuning in. Reminder, if you want to give Rithmm a shot, you can do that promo code STAR25. Recommend it to a friend. Give it a 5-star review in the App Store. But for Cade, for myself, thank you all, and we'll see you next week for another edition of the Rithmm